Welcome. Well, here I am again with another wonderful interview for Candy Outdoors. And today I'm interviewing Jacob from Pine River Paddlesports. And we're going to talk a little bit about getting our kayaks ready for the season and his other business, all his business that he offers here for our great area here in northern Michigan. First of all, Jacob, what's your full name?
Yeah, Jacob Milner.
Jacob Milner.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jacob, when did you begin paddling?
Well, there's home video of me swaddled in the bottom of the canoe.
Oh my goodness.
But paddling my own would have been single digits. When I was maybe 10 or 11, I was doing class 2 on the
Wow.
oh goodness, what river it was in the Yaak.
Here in Michigan.
Nantahala. No, it's Tennessee.
Oh, I've been there.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
the Appalachian Trail goes through there.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I've been there and I've seen that and I'm like, whoa, that's some serious kayaking. So you started paddling, so your parents were avid paddlers then?
Yes. Yes.
Canoers
My parents started
or
this
kayaks?
business originally. Yes.
Oh, your parents started this
Yes.
business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a long established business then in northern Michigan.
Yes. Yeah.
When did they start it?
1970.
1970, and here you
Sorry,
are.
1972.
1970,
Yes,
and here you are carrying on this family business and offering this fantastic thing for our area. That's amazing. So you started when you were like a youth. So
Yes.
you have, was it always the Pine River then, growing up as a kid?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we're just so blessed to have grown up here. That people ask me, what other Michigan rivers have you done? I'm like, I've done more out-of-state rivers than in-state because I grew up here. Why
Right.
go anywhere else if the Pine is right here?
Right.
I've done, of course, the Manistee, and I've done the Sturgeon, the Upper Platte, the Baldwin.
Okay. So you have extensive paddling experience.
Yes.
So you are like an expert at it. Now, people ask me that too. Have you ever paddled the Pine? And I have to say, doing your river float this past winter was the first time I've paddled on the Pine River.
Oh, you're gonna get out this summer then.
Because I'm like you, the Manistee River is like right there, and it's my river.
Right.
So I just go to the Manistee all the time because it's my favorite river.
Yes.
But I'm determined to paddle at least one new river this summer.
Good.
It's on
You
my
gotta do the lower section of the Pine.
I'm going to ask you about that in a minute here.
All right.
Okay, so as an expert in kayaking, it's specifically river kayaking, like right now we're in the end of April, so most people are going to be thinking about getting on the river, most people, pretty soon, like in May. We've had a cold spring, so,
Yeah.
but with warmer temps coming, people are going to be anxious to get their kayaks out, their canoes out, and get on the river. So what are some of the important basic steps like any everyday paddlers could do, like myself? What can we do to get my kayak ready for the season? What's the bare bones, what you should do?
I mean, typically, you put it away last fall and you would have known about any, problems, hopefully. Not that mice don't chew straps once in a while and stuff like that, but the most common places you're going to run into problems are with the seat or the foot pegs. So just give those a check over. Check your straps, make sure that it's all solid.
Oh, on your seat?
Yes, on
Okay.
your seat. Yes, yep. Other than that, I mean, they're pretty tough boats usually. Most problems come when people drag them, which a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pick those things up. And you don't drag your boat.
A lot of people drag their boats.
too.
A lot of people.
Yes, and that's when you get the leaks.
Okay.
Yep.
So so would you know there was a leak before you put it away for the winter?
You should.
You should know,
You
right?
should, yeah. You don't necessarily always know where it's at, and if that is the case, which happens to us sometimes, someone comes back, hey, it's leaking. I don't know where it's leaking at. We put it up on some sawhorses, and then just start filling it with water, and eventually you'll start seeing.
Oh, so you suggest that that's a good safety check, filling your boat with water.
You don't have to fill it all the way, but yeah, get some in the bottom of it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and just check.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's-
Wouldn't that would just suck. If you got out on the river, because I worry about that
It
sometimes.
happens.
I'm like, what would I do if my boat all of a sudden started leaking? I'm on the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Typically, it's not a big leak. You know, you'll start to notice a little water. Does that drip from my paddle, or it's not like you're out there and all of a sudden your boat's going down. Yeah. But that has happened too. People hit a rock just right with the right material boat. The plastic boats that we run and what a lot of people run, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
But some of the, you get into the higher end materials that are lightweight,
like fiberglass.
like carbon fiber, and they have their strengths, but they also have some weaknesses.
Okay. All right. So check the straps, adjustable straps behind your cockpit seat, and the foot pegs to make sure that they're tight and tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that they adjust right.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll get locked up or bound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
sure they're sliding up and down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much the safety checks then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So those are the safety checks. Okay. And talking about getting, holes in your boat and scruffing them up too much, you also offer kayak and canoe repairs
And raft. Yep.
and raft repairs.
Yep.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about that, Jacob? What do you offer for repairs here at Pine River Paddlesports?
So I'm most experienced with plastic welding, because that's what the boats that we run. I grew up fixing our boats, and so yeah, I can do plastic welding. I can do all sorts of stuff. I've had canoes that have had a tree branch go through them. They sit out in the yard, and a tree branch falls and pierces right through them.
Okay.
And I'm able to weld it, with plastic back to.
So plastic welding is where you take another piece of plastic and
Yes.
and mold it and weld it onto the boat, and that's for
Yes.
like holes.
Holes or just where people that drag it. I'll put some strips on the back of the kayak, and I have not found anything with the plastic welding. I've not been able to do
Okay,
that.
so plastic welding.
Yeah. With the higher end materials, there's different plastics and the fiberglass and the carbon fiber. I do carbon fiber repairs as well. I just started doing those a couple of years ago.
Oh.
I've had several successful ones.
Okay.
No unsuccessful ones yet. But yeah, so starting to get into that, because that's what a lot of people have. And people have a $200 Walmart special kayak. They break it, they might just buy a new one. But people starting to get to the $1,400 kayaks, they're willing to fix it.
Right.
So yeah, carbon fiber, and then PVC rafts, and plastic molds.
So you'll repair holes, wear and tear. How about like new bungee systems?
Yeah.
Sealing like if a bulkhead starts
Yep.
Leaking.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Done that. Yeah. Strap repairs for seats. Like I say, most of the time that's where your break is going to happen, is on a strap.
Okay.
And replacing straps on seats, and there's very few things I have not been able to fix.
Okay, so you do that all here
Yes.
at Pine River Paddlesports.
Yep.
Okay. Now, how would someone go about? Do they just make an appointment? Do you have a
Yeah.
schedule? They schedule repair work.
Yeah, it's obviously summer's our busy season, so I like to do it in the spring, the fall, and the winter. But I've had last year a girl paddled the Pine one day and got a hole in her boat and dropped it off, and I fixed it, and she picked it up next week. That can't always be the case in the summertime.
Okay.
So.
All right. So there you have it. If you are thinking about getting your kayak repaired, just like I talked about with my other interview with Az at Einstein Cycle, spring in northern Michigan is the time, early spring, to get into these professional services to get your gear ready for the season, because it happens so fast in northern Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be in the 50s this week and next week,
Supposed
even
to be
though
73
it's,
this week.
even though we'll talk about that too, even though the air temperature is warm, we have to talk about that safety next. But you want to be ready for the season, because summers can be short in Michigan, and so why waste any valuable summertime getting your stuff ready and prepared? So that's what I strongly suggest people to get it done, get that boat opened up, and if you have any doubts at all, now's the time to schedule an appointment with a specialist to get that boat ready for the season. Okay, so talking about safety, Jacob, what would you suggest is like the basic safety gear someone should always have in their boat for every paddle?
Obviously, your life jacket, and having it in the boat doesn't do you much good once you go over. you gotta be wearing it. Obviously, people have different expertise levels, and there's different levels of paddling that you're going in. So I understand that sometimes people don't wear them, but especially if it's a new river or springtime, you don't know what that river's going to be like. So through the winter, trees fall in, spring floods come, erosion brings a couple trees in, existing log jams or trees might get reshuffled and replaced. You don't know what's going to be out there.
Around the bend.
Exactly.
Never know what's around the bend.
No.
You better be prepared.
Yes.
Okay, so the PFD, and in Michigan, it's a law.
It's got to be in the boat.
It has to be in the boat. You have to have a PFD. And I've been on the river where the DNR are doing boat checks, and there was a big group of family, and a couple of people did not have their PFDs with them. What happens if you get caught on the river without a PFD?
It's up to the officer's discretion.
But they can ticket you.
Absolutely.
Can they force you off the river right then?
If you're at an access site, they probably could. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Even though you're not wearing your PFD, it is a law to have one in your boat at all times.
And recommended to be wearing it.
And highly recommended to be wearing it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other
so
than that,
PFD,
for safety, I got to cover this too.
Okay.
Alcohol consumption. I like to take a beer with me on the river, and that's great. But people take too many oftentimes, or they might be used to paddling Muskegon, where they can have X amount of beers, and then they try to come up here on a more technical river and thinking that they're going to do the same thing, and they end up in trouble.
How often do you see that, Jacob?
Often.
Where people get in trouble with too much alcohol on the river?
Yes, I've been on many middle of the night trips looking for people and when you get there and realize that they're in the situation because they drank too much, not happy that I'm...
And it puts you at risk, and the rescue people at risk.
Yeah, and I shouldn't be there. I should be at home with my family or in bed.
Yeah.
And if an accident happens and you lost your boat or whatever, like there's grace for that. But if you're out there in trouble because of decisions you've made, and now you're compromising other people, it's not okay.
So we should always drink responsibly, but I'm a huge advocate for non-alcoholic river paddles myself. And when I see families and I cringe. I cringe when I see a lot of alcohol consumption while you're on the river.
It's hard on the resource. It's hard on, and a lot of it's unintentional. But you tip over, and there goes your cooler, and there goes all your stuff. And
I've passed a lot of them on the river before.
You have. It's very, very few people are so ignorant that
but
they
you can
just
tell
throw
that
stuff.
they dropped it because they're not open.
Yes.
So of course, alcohol consumption responsibly, if at all, on the river. Taking your PFD. What else would you suggest someone take as a safety?
Depending on the time of year, we've had times in June where it's cold and you could get hypothermic if you're in the river. So fire starting materials in a dry bag, or like heat retention Mylar ponchos are super small and compact, but they can make all the difference if you're in trouble with the cold. So definitely, the water is nothing to mess with.
No, it is not. And I know that the Coast Guard has a table that talks about air temperature, water temperature, and the combination put together, and what your time limit is before you go hypothermic. So people can Google that too, because I know because I took a water safety class at the Quiet Symposium down at MSU a couple years ago, and they talked about that. So, and I want to tell you a story real quick. I had to rescue 2 young men off the Manistee last May. It was early May, and one of the boys had capsized, and thank God they had their PFDs on. They didn't know what they were doing because I had seen them earlier in my paddle, and I just praise God that I was there at the right time.
Yeah.
I have no doubt the one boy would have perished. They had PFDs on, but by the time I could get him onto land, he was already going into shock and already showing signs of hypothermia. So what I learned is when I paddle now in the early years, I don't take a kit just for me. I had my survival kit with me right there, and I was able to use that for the victim, for this young man. And so that was a lesson to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very experienced paddler. I don't take it for granted, but I now keep that in mind to
Yep.
always bring extra because I never know what I'm going to run into. So that
That's
day,
good practice.
yeah. So always bring your PFD. And I do pack my Mylar blanket now, my emergency blanket, and all that stuff that you talked about, dry clothes and everything. And I'll carry my survival kit with me until probably mid-June.
Yeah.
I always carry a dry bag, but
Yeah.
I don't carry a survival kit per se.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, so talk about the Pine River. Like, how long is the Pine River?
What we service, or what any of the liveries service, the section would be about 13 hours of river time. Most people will split that.
Is that floating or paddling?
It's not floating. It's not paddling hard. It's a pretty fair average.
Okay.
People will definitely shave time off of that, and people will add time onto that. Pretty safe average, 13 hours. Most people will split that into 3 days.
Do you know how many miles that is, Jacob?
We don't do mileages.
Oh, okay.
Just because I do 11 miles on the Muskegon. Well, 11 miles on the Muskegon is going to take a different amount of time
Right.
than 11 miles here.
Okay.
So we just do time because it's relatable.
Okay. So
So
13 hours from where it's
Briar
paddleable.
Patch to Low Bridge.
And what's your favorite section?
I really like Dobson to Peterson. Most people, the most popular section by far is Peterson to Low Bridge.
And how many hours
It's
is
a
that?
3-hour canoe or kayak trip, not accounting for stops.
And that's what again? I'm sorry.
3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours, not accounting for
Starting
stops.
where?
Peterson to Low Bridge.
Peterson to Low Bridge.
Which is M37
Okay.
to M55 basically.
Okay. So about a 3-hour paddle. That's most people's favorite section.
Yes, that
Why?
has most of the Class 1 whitewater that the Pine is known for. And I say Class 1, that is defined as 12 to 18-inch rolling waves, like no technical side curling waves or anything, just straight on, fun, splashy wave trains. More than what most people have done before, but totally within anyone's capability.
Okay.
Not that tip overs don't happen, they absolutely do, but we put Boy Scouts and families down this river all summer long.
Okay, so if I was going to do my first
You're
paddle,
gonna do it.
that would be the section.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very scenic, very fun.
I mean, I'm very experienced, but
Yeah.
I want it to be fun, and I mean,
You will love it.
yeah.
You'll love it.
And I think the Manistee, I think someone said that by Woodpecker Creek is Class 1 rapids.
No.
I didn't think so, but I've seen it talked about on different paddling
No.
pages, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
No.
If that's, I don't know anything about rapids, but I'm like, it's fast there.
It's fast.
It's
yeah,
fast there.
Yeah.
People have perished there.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's not Class 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Manistee, I love it. That's the only fast section on the Manistee is by Woodpecker Creek.
Pretty
That-
much.
Pretty
Yeah.
much that
Yes.
first
That's my favorite section on the
mine
Manistee.
too. 5 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your favorite section. Okay, now as an outfitter, you're an outfitter, correct, for the Pine River, Pine River Paddlesports. What are your responsibilities that you perform regarding the river?
So we do what we call as safety and navigability work, basically. So after these spring floods and the erosion events and windstorms and the ice storms that bring trees into the river, we'll go through and make sure it's safe and navigable.
Cutting out log jams and downfalls and
Where
stuff?
and when needed, we don't like to do any more work than we have to because it doesn't pay that well to do that work. And
Is
it's
it
hard
volunteer?
work.
Or is there?
There
do
is
you
some
get
compensation.
compensated? Okay.
Yes, there is some. Yeah. And there are guidelines that the DNR and the Forest Service want us to work within,
Right.
and we respect those as often as we can. At the end of the day, I'm the one in the canoe with the chainsaw, and so I'm going to do what's safest. No.
Right.
But yeah, there are guidelines we
Okay.
definitely try to abide by.
So is it the outfitter's responsibility to keep our river clear, or is it the DNR's? Or do you work
That's
kind
a
of
big
hand in
gray
hand?
area.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we don't have to get into politics about it or anything.
Yeah, so the Pine, I will tell you this, the Pine is a navigable river. It was grandfathered in from the logging era, the 1800s of Michigan. Because it was used in a commercial sense in the logging era, they had to keep it navigable to float their logs onto the mills. We're allowed to keep it navigable. There are many rivers that are not designated as a navigable
I
river.
bet you the upper Muskegon isn't.
It probably is. I don't
Because
know.
I've kayaked
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Well, portaged most of it.
yes. And there, so on rivers like that, the DNR, Forest Service, whoever's jurisdiction is, don't want you doing anything.
Okay. So you're guaranteed almost within reason that the Pine River, rivers that are deemed this are going to be open. For
If
the
there's a
most
commercial
part.
operation on it, yes,
Okay.
because obviously we have an interest in making sure that we can run a business.
Okay.
If there's no commercial operations, then yeah, local guys might go out and do it here and there, but it's not going to be as well and kept consistently well as if there's a commercial operator.
Now I know there's a Pine River cleanup group. Is that purely volunteer? Is
Yes.
that's an organized group? Because I've read and heard about it, where they go out. I have a friend named Kurt that comes up and takes part in it.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in being part of a river cleanup, like I would be on the Manistee, who would I contact?
So really, you want to get a hold of Traverse City Area Paddle Club. It's a big paddle club, and they facilitate both fun trips and cleanup trips on many Michigan rivers.
Okay.
They do, I think, 5 different cleanups on the Pine throughout every summer, and they do wonderful work.
So they're in charge of that group that comes and does the river cleanups. Okay.
Yes. Traverse City Area Paddle Club, great resource of information. And then if you're not an experienced paddler, but you want to get into it,
Wait, stop. Call Cami Outdoors.
Oh, yeah,
Because I'm actually offering an intro kayaking clinic on May 31st.
Good.
At Lake Mitchell.
Well, yes. Go through the clinic, but then Traverse City Area Paddle Club is a group of people that you can go and try different Michigan rivers with the safety of a group.
That's nice, because I will do that for the Manistee River.
Yeah.
Is to take people out kayaking, paddling on the Manistee. Okay, so not only does he run the kayaks, and you rent the kayaks, right?
Yep.
So you can come here, Pine River Paddlesports. Tell us about that.
The rental?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rental.
I mean, we've been. That's how we started. Was renting canoes in the '70s. In the '70s, the Pine was the second most paddled river in the nation. It's a nationally recognized wild and scenic river. It's got a long history of being a paddle sports destination. So we rent canoes, a huge variety of kayaks. We size you based on your height and weight. A lot of places don't have the variety or quality, I will say. We buy new kayaks every few years. We like to keep you in nice boats. We have rafts. We have 4-man rafts, 2 to 3-man rafts.
They're a blast.
Yes, great way.
Do you do that in the summer?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I'm coming in the summer with my granddaughters.
Yes.
I am.
Yes, they're so good for families because the granddaughters can go to this side and to that side and lean over the edge, and there's no tipping over or compensating for the shifting.
I'll be
of the
calling
weight.
you about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, great for families. Great for
Okay, so
families.
you rent them and then you shuttle them. You shuttle people.
Yep, we'll help facilitate. We'll get your car, you'll follow us to the end point, wherever you decide you want to end your trip, you'll park there, and then you get in with us, we take you in the boats upstream.
Very cool.
So you float down, your vehicle's waiting for you, you're not waiting on us, we're not waiting on you.
And I'll put your website address and everything in the details for
Thank
this, so you can check all that out. Now, not only kayaks and canoes and all this stuff, you also own Pine River Paddlesports is a campground. So can you tell us a little bit about your campground?
Yeah, it's a rustic campground. Some of the sites have water. There's a central bathroom facility with flush toilets, running hot water, coin-operated showers. What sets us apart is that we sell clean and quiet.
Which you are hard-pressed to find.
Yes, you can be. And that's fine. If you want to go party, you should have a place to go party. But if you want a place to come get a night's sleep, this is the place to come. And our sites have more woody buffer between them than pretty much any other campground I've seen. And yeah, like kid noise, kids playing.
Kids
I
are
like,
playing.
I don't like putting a squash on that, but at a certain point I do. But there's no radios, there's no generators, there's no fireworks, there's no hooting and hollering, there's no partying.
Okay. So it's is it an alcohol-free campground?
No,
you can have alcohol, but responsibly.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the generators, and all that stuff. That's nice. Some people really want that in the campground, so that's great that Pine River Paddlesports Campground offers that. How many sites do you have here?
It's fluctuated over the years,
Okay.
but I would say about 30.
30,
Around 30.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
2 camping cabins, 2 glamping
The
tents,
glamping tents.
which aren't up yet,
Okay.
unfortunately. But yeah.
I might have to come out and camp in
They're
that
nice.
just to do a content on it, because I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, they're
I
nice.
thought about bike packing out here
Cool.
from Cal. It's not
Yeah,
that
it's
far
not
away,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
to come and stay out here at the campground.
They're great. You get the experience of camping. You know, it's canvas. You can hear the bugs and the birds and everything outside, and feel the temperature change.
Nice.
But you don't have to set up your tent. You don't have to tear your tent down. You don't have to take it home.
Nice.
You're sleeping on a real bed. I mean, it's luxury.
It's glamping.
Yes, it's glamping.
That's
but
cool that you
still
offer
get
that.
you're not in a cabin. I like that part of the glamping versus a cabin is that you can still.
You do feel like you're probably closer to nature in that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 30 sites, and then you have the bathrooms, which are nice. So you have a rustic campsite, but you still have the luxury of having a flush toilet and a coin-operated shower at the end of the day.
Yep.
So that's nice too. Okay, so and your business hours, your campground information will be all on your website, which I'll post here. So we'll get that out there. So now I want to just take a minute and go see your repair shop.
Okay.
Well, you know, it's a mess, but okay, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll show you some
we'll show
examples of repairs. How about that?
Okay, so let's head out there, and you can just show us whatever you want, and then after, I know you have to leave, and or we can just walk around the campground and show people a couple of the campsites that you have to offer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay, so we're out here at my repair pile, which is always here. There's never enough time, but this is an example of what happens when you let things go longer than you should. So a lot of the plastic boats have 3 layers of plastic. There's a solid layer of plastic, and then there's kind of like an aerated layer of plastic, and then another solid layer. You get a wear, you know, either a crack, this here, or just a, you know, where it ground through enough that moisture can get into that middle layer where there's space. It can spread out, and then when it heats up, it's gonna contract and shrink and contract and shrink, which causes ply separation. So like this here, I'm gonna have to open this up, get as much moisture out of there, if not all of it, that I can, glue what I can back down, and then I'll weld all the seams from the cut. So preventative maintenance is far superior than maintenance, because a lot of times I'll catch this before, like back here you can see this is that solid layer just about to wear through to that middle layer. That white in there is that middle layer. So I like to catch them like this before it happens, and I'll weld. This is an old weld here, so I'll weld new material on there. It takes a lot less time to fix this than once it wears through when you start to get that ply separation.
Okay.
So, and that's a visual you can look it out for on your kayak if you bought it secondhand, you know, and the previous owner dragged it. Of course you wouldn't. But if the previous owner did, you know, that's something you can look for is a little discoloration. That might indicate that you're getting low in one of those solid layers.
Okay,
and it
very
might
good.
Be checked out.
Okay. So that's actually one of my concerns, because I have an eddy line, and it's made with a special kind of plastic compound that's supposed to be heavy duty, strong. And I do my darndest never to drag it, but sometimes I come up on a launch and the launch is cement. Mm-hmm. So I have to nose up on there. Is there anything that I could have you put on my nose to help me protect my boat better?
Yeah, probably a layer of carbon fiber would be the best thing to do on that.
And would it, make sure you can see both of us, would it compromise my boat's handling performance, how it tracks in the water? Would it deter from any of that?
Yeah, if you were to get some MIT instrument that could, you know, measure the aquadynamics of it, you might, but you'd never anything that you would notice in your paddle. You'll never notice it.
Okay,
if there is, it's going to be so minute and minuscule.
Okay, and like when you bang on the bottom, I bottom out a lot because I kayak camp, and your boat's heavy, and you go through the shallows and you scrape it. And that even bothers me. Mm-hmm. So I always wonder if there is a film or any kind of extra barrier I could put on the bottom of my boat, because I have a very nice kayak.
Yeah.
And so I would like it to last me a very long time. And because it's a very important part of my lifestyle, kayaking is my most favorite thing to do in the outdoors. So I take very good care. So that's something I could bring my boat out and have you do then.
Yes.
On the bottom of my boat. I might do that because, like Jacob said, the higher end kayaks, you know, you
want to keep them nice.
yes, I do. So yeah, so that's an example of the repair that Jacob does here. So now I'm going to walk around the campground a little bit and give you some views of some campsites that they have to offer out here. Wasn't Jacob just lovely to talk to? That's why I did a river float with a group of women this winter, and I have video on that. We did a river float on the Pine River through his establishment. Him and his family are just lovely. His wife, and they have a young child and a dog, a husky named Hoxie, that own this. So it's a family-owned business, and I just love supporting businesses in my area that offer such this wonderful outdoor experience for people to come and enjoy northern Michigan. So I'm going to walk around the campsites and give you an idea of what they look like. So there's their bathhouse, and here is one of their lovely camp spots. And as you can see, the next camp spot's right over there. And in the summer, all those trees would be leaved out, and you would be secluded and have privacy. And you have all the woods behind you that would be leaved out. And there's the next campsite right there. And right across from the bathhouse is this campsite. So what a lovely campground. And there's another campsite. And here's a campsite, and right there is one of the cabins that they rent out. And right next door to that little cabin is a campsite and another cabin. How adorable. Thanks again for watching. It was so fun talking to Jacob and learning more about his establishment out here, his repair work that he offers for kayaks and canoes. That was very interesting, and I really am going to bring my boat out here and have him do that. And talking to him about his campground and sharing this all with you. What a wonderful family destination this is. Pine River Paddlesports here in northern Michigan. I'll put their webpage address in the details so you can check it out for yourself. But thanks again for watching, and don't procrastinate. Get that boat ready for the summer.